China is one of the leaders in the manufacture and supply of cars and their components, especially when it comes to electric vehicles, where it is seen as the undisputed leader. With a massive population and a rapidly growing middle class, the country provides the space and environment for electric vehicle sales to flourish. Additionally, EVs are massively supported by the Chinese government, which provides incentives for both manufacturers and consumers. To help put their lead in the electric vehicle space into perspective, a report by the International Energy Agency found that more than half of the electric vehicles on the roads worldwide are found in China. Also, in 2022, they were responsible for 35% of global EV exports to countries across the globe. One of the leading U.S. electric vehicle makers is Tesla, well known across U.S. and European markets with a significant presence. However, one of Tesla's main rivals is China's BYD, known for its cheaper models and more varied lineup. BYD recently became the top EV maker worldwide by sales, overtaking Tesla. Recently, an American manufacturing group called the Alliance for American Manufacturing has given the U.S. government stern warnings about how cheap Chinese electric vehicles can cause irreparable damage to the U.S. vehicle manufacturing sector, terming the damage a possible extinction-level event for the American market. They argue that the vehicles are inexpensive because of the support, power, and funding of the Chinese government. China, like most countries excelling in an industry or sector of the global economy, likes to export their expertise and brands to other nations, where they can benefit financially and gain political influence. Major car companies in China have expressed intentions and hopes of building new manufacturing facilities in South America, particularly in Mexico, with ongoing talks with Mexican officials. Mexico is Latin America's second-largest economy, positioning the country in the middle of the China-U.S. trade war. Chinese-owned companies like Chery, MG, and BYD are all part of this new Mexican investment drive for new electric vehicle factories in the region. Mexico is currently part of a North American free trade agreement with America. These plans for Chinese companies allow a commercial backdoor for Mexican car factories headquartered in China into the U.S. market. The U.S. fears that this will result in mass plant closures and massive job losses within the U.S. due to a possible influx of cheap Chinese vehicles. The North American Free Trade Agreement allows preferential treatment for parts and vehicles produced in Mexico, as well as qualifying for a $7,500 electric vehicle tax credit. In response to these accusations, speculations, and fears, the Chinese embassy in Washington made a strong response to the report and claims made by the American Manufacturing Group, stating that vehicles produced or exported by China are of the highest quality and that the Chinese manufacturing industry has strong innovation embedded within it, contributing towards these cost-effective products. Almost a year ago, Tesla, one of the leading U.S. electric vehicle makers and developers, announced plans to build a factory in Mexico, seeing the opportunity there. The factory was planned to be placed in the northern Mexican state of Nuevo León, the seventh most populous Mexican state. Following this, in October last year, Mexico shared that a Chinese supplier of Tesla, as well as a technology company, expressed desires to make investments worth $1 billion in that same state of Nuevo León. Regarding China, there is almost always support for taking action against their activities by both Democrats and Republicans. In this case, a bipartisan group of lawmakers has requested the Biden administration to prevent China from using Mexico to export electric vehicles to the U.S. They propose a jump of 27.5% in tariffs on China's vehicles. They also advocate for careful consideration of how China seeks to establish its automotive sector outside of China and how this expansion will affect the U.S. market and country. There is a fear of gradual U.S. reliance on China in the electric vehicle battery supply chain, and then a huge dependence on the U.S. automotive market, spanning not just electric cars, but also combustion engine cars. It is very apparent the upward trajectory the Chinese companies are on, in innovating and developing their industries, and U.S. worries are well-founded, regardless of whether their actions against China are fair or not. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and be sure to take a moment to subscribe.